Hey friend, I'm Andy Jenkins. Welcome to the Amplify podcast. Today, I'm going to end this ABCs of Getting Paid for What You Know series. In part 2, that's where we are, part 2 of 3, right in the middle of it. So this is kind of the, like they have the hump day. This is kind of like the hump episode of the ABCs of Getting Paid for What You Know. I'm going to teach you one of the counterintuitive strategies, tactics that we talk about all the time in Amplify. Now, at Amplify, what we want to do is help you get paid for your expertise. We want to help you multiply, monetize your message so that you can make a bigger impact while sharing that heart message, that core idea that's on you, the thing that you really feel like, oh, if people just knew, life would be so much better. They could solve this problem. They could get to that potential. They could, and here's the path to do it. That's what we really want to help you do. One of the counterintuitive items, tactics, things that we teach, and honestly, we get some pushback on this, is if you've got an idea for a book, write the book first. And I'll tell you why. We tell people to write the book first, start with the book, because once you write the book, you've got everything that you need for everything else. You've got everything you need to design your website. You've got everything you need for the words for your email funnels. You got everything you need for all the content for your social media. You got everything that you need for all the other assets, for the videos, for the reels. And to be honest, if you don't come up with it in the form of a book, even if it's a draft of a book that no one else is ever going to see, you got to come up with all this stuff anyway on its own, and that is, it's exponentially more difficult just to shoot straight. So what we train you to do is to do it one time, focus on it, do it well, just sink into it for a couple weeks, and boom, knock it out of the park, and then you're done. Now, by the way, I say that right here because the best way to architect, design, and then articulate, say, your framework, which we talked about in the previous episode, is to get that stuff down in a book. I'll tell you this, that's how we started this entire Amplify thing. That is the story. A few years ago, Beth told me, she said, hey, I think you really need to sit down and create the tools, outline the training, articulate and share the tips on all these processes that you've been doing with your own training, with your own books, with your own, all the personal development stuff that I teach about grace, freedom, purpose, and empowerment. And I tell you, if you think, and so many times people kind of get overwhelmed when we're sharing those processes with them. Oh man, it's a lot. I get it, because it was overwhelming when she said that. I'm thinking, I got to go write all this stuff down. But in the process of writing it down, I got clarity. It got sharper. It crystallized in my mind. There were things that I thought about that I hadn't even considered in a long time. It really helped me connect all of the dots. And so what I'm telling you about this, write the framework down first, start with the book, is exactly the counterintuitive strategy that we do ourselves. Now, today, in this episode, and that kind of ties you back to the previous episode, all right? In this episode, I am going to talk to you about another counterintuitive strategy that we teach. I'm not going to talk a lot about it right here in the intro because you're going to get you're going to get an earful of it in just a moment. The counterintuitive strategy is this. You need to consider your website as your primary digital real estate, not social media. Now, I'm not against social media. I'm not against Instagram, not against TikTok, not against Facebook, not against YouTube, which is a form of social media. And yes, there are some people, a very select few people, who have built major juggernauts of financial empires and content making machines on those platforms. But when we're looking at it going, all right, what's going to work for the most people? And what's going to work right now? What is your clearest, quickest path forward? It's going to be to build on something you own, and that's your website. So, A, B, C, D's of getting paid for what you know. A, architect your framework. That was what we talked about in the previous episode. B, build your home base in the digital space. That's what we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to get into, communicate regularly. D, deliver results for dollars. A, B, C, D. Here it is. B, build your home base. Step number 2 is a B. A, B, build your home base is step 2 in how to monetize, how to get paid for what you know. So here it is, pro tip. Do this in the ABCD order that we've suggested, meaning framework first, not website. Now, I know a lot of people jump in and they go, oh, I need a website. Why do you need a website? Well, I need a website because everybody's got a website. I need social media. Why do you need social media? That's really what we get to see. Well, I need social media because, I just heard I need, no. Look, if you create the framework first, again, say it again, you have all the words and ideas and images that you need for B, that's build your home base. For C, that's communicate regularly, as well as D, that's deliver results. Otherwise, you got to create all that stuff anyway, separately, and it just becomes, such a grind, long nights, filled up, flooded weekends, early mornings. So do it in the order suggested. All right, let's talk about the website. What needs to be on your website? Well, it needs to be clean, and it needs to be clear, and it needs to be concise. So you are going to tell people the problem that you solve, the potential that you lead them towards, and you are going to articulate that framework on your site. All right, so I'm going to breeze through this. The ABCD really is an intro to lead you to all those other modules. But I will say this, clean is how it looks. You don't want everything plus the kitchen sink on your website. You don't have to say everything about everything that you could possibly do on that website. Get in a very clean, how it looks mindset. It needs to be clear, and it needs to be concise. Now I suggest you use these long form pages, these pages that scroll and scroll and scroll, because what you can do by being concise is you can say things in some little pithy statements, and then they can scroll more if they want to go deeper. And so that's really how those pages are working, is you're saying the same thing over and over and over on those pages in slightly different language, driving deeper into more detail, into the weeds as people go farther. Number 2 thing that needs to be true on your website, you need to capture their contact information. This is what needs to be on your home base. Not only does it need to be clear and clean and concise, you need to capture their contact information. We teach you to do this with an opt-in. What you do is you have a free gift. That's a lead magnet that you present to the person. Hey, if you will give me your email address and sometimes even your text number, then I will give you, and then you supply something that's relevant to your framework. You supply a video that explains certain things. You supply a PDF download, a checklist, an assessment. You supply audio training, all sorts of elements that you can do there. It's just kind of a way to introduce what you do to them at a deeper level. And then you deliver this to their inbox immediately, or you put it on a thank you page, whatever the case. You then follow up with the promised content, you tag them, and you deliver a curated email sequence as illustrated on the graphic on the screen. At some point in that, notice maybe a couple, 4 emails in, you're going to give them the opportunity to buy something. In fact, I would even suggest that on that thank you page, you give them the offer to buy something. And then after they complete that sequence, you're going to move them on to an email broadcast list. Now, don't worry, we got some training on how to do this and what it needs to look like, and I will reference it at the end of this section of the training. The third thing that you need on your home base is contact info for you. And by that, I mean you need your email, you need your phone number. That's it. You might want to put your address or the address of your office if you have one. I don't know. And there's kind of mixed reviews on this. I don't know that I would put all my social media handles on there, because if people want to contact you, here's what I want them to do. I want them to click and text me or fill out a web form immediately that tells them, hey, I'll get back to you within 24 hours, or email me and let them know, hey, I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Unless there's just some, absurd exception to the rule, like, I'm out of town or something of that nature. But I want them to contact me. I don't want them to go off my site into the rabbit hole of social media. In fact, my goal on social media is to drive people to my site, not drive them from my site to social media. Your home base is your website. Your home base is not social media. You don't own social media. You can be shut down on social media. Your posts can be throttled on social media. You don't even know what social media your next client's going to be upon. So you don't know if they primarily are on YouTube, or if they're primarily on TikTok, or if they're primarily on Snapchat, or if they're primarily on Facebook, or if they're primarily on Instagram or X, which used to be Twitter, or like you have no idea. And so, I mean, you don't want to just build out on social media and just limit it. Build it on your home base, use the social media, drive people to your website. We've got all kinds of training on that, but make sure they can contact you from your site. It is shocking how many websites that I stumble upon, and it is a struggle and a strain to find out how to get in touch with this person. Don't bury it in the footer of your page. You might want to put it down there, but literally put it in the menu up at the top, contact info. And then on that page, nothing except for very simple page, maybe your picture and how to contact you. Or, hey, here's 3 ways to contact me. You can call me, you can text me, or you can fill out this form, or you can email, whatever. Like, put it right there, but make it simple for people to reach out and find you. Number 4, content delivery. You need a reason that people are going to go visit your site. Now, in the Amplified training, we talk about 3 types of websites. There are sites that sit, they're static, they provide basic info only. Ideally, they're kind of like a dentist office site where it's like, okay, here's where we are. If you've got an abscessed tooth, this is where we are. These sites just sit. They're providing basic information. The most robust example of this is Wikipedia. It just sits there. It's just giving people data, information. Site number 2, there are websites that sell. They push products and make a profit only. So think about Walmart.com, think about Amazon.com. These sites exist to sell. You don't go to Amazon to learn a bunch of things like site number 3 does. Site number 3 serves people. It encourages, equips, and empowers. It takes people on a journey. I really think that you need to build site number 3, or the third type of site, with content delivery. So on that website, you need a regular rhythm of sharing things. I think weekly is best. I think bi-weekly is still really good. I think monthly is still consistent. I would not do it less frequently than monthly. Again, weekly is best, but right here, start with where you are. Don't underestimate the value of doing something monthly, because if you put something up at least once a month, you can, for a month, promote that post and send people back to it. And then even 6 months later, you can repurpose it and send people back to something that's 6 months old, because the newest person in your ecosystem then doesn't know about it. So the question then is, what format does this content delivery need to be? And I know right now you might be getting overwhelmed. Here's the deal. pick your format. You can have written content on your website. We call those blogs generally. You can have video content on your site. That generally somehow that fits in with the blog thing too. You can have audio. That's a podcast. Sometimes people refer to video as podcast. Technically, it's a podcast if it's audio, although that's increasingly kind of shifting a little bit. You pick your format and you start sharing. Well, then the question is, what do I share on my site with all of this stuff that's going on? You teach pieces of your framework. Pieces. In fact, in another training, we tell people regularly, you want to teach all of your information. You want to teach it in very bite-sized pieces, and you want to teach it out of order. So every week, you give somebody that visits your site, or biweekly or monthly, something of value about your core framework. So in my world, I'm talking about how to write books. I might say, hey, here are 3 reasons you need to start with the book. That's the post. Or on another one, hey, here's a couple of things you need to know about firing up a podcast and where you can get the content, or something of that nature. You can kind of bounce around and see. Just remember at the bottom of every single post, whether it is written, video, or audio, you always want to have, this is my opinion, a call to action, a CTA. Always give the person that is reading, watching, or listening a clear, obvious next best step. And you say, well, what is that next best step? It might be a low ticket offer. Buy my book. To go deeper on the topic of this, at minimum, it is always going to be what we talked about up here in number 2, capture their contact info with an opt-in. Okay, and by the way, that opt-in is going to be something related to your framework. We talked about that. And then you're going to email them based on elements of content that you've written right here on the content delivery that you're repurposing from your framework. We take a deeper dive in how to do that and some of the training that I'm going to reference here for you in just a moment. Here's another element that needs to be true on your website. Number 5, you need the ability to collect money from your site directly without sending people off your site to PayPal, without sending people off your site to Cash App, without sending people off your site to Venmo, without sending people, wiring bank instructions, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, now, absolutely, you could share some of that information. You could even share your address. They could mail you a check. But you really need a way to do it, even if PayPal is integrated into your payment processor. We use Kajabi, and Kajabi integrates with Stripe and Kajabi Payments and Apple Pay and Google Pay and PayPal, but it's all contained right there on the site. And I would say, again, remember, this is going to be true whether you are a for-profit or you're a nonprofit. In the for-profit world, you are generating sales. In the nonprofit world, you may be doing some sales. You're primarily doing donations. You got to have a way on that site, either way, to collect cash. Number 6, final thing that needs to be on your website, I think, is a call to action. Now, I did say in reference at the bottom of every blog post or podcast or video, there needs to be a call to action as the best practice, a next best step for that person, whether it's a low ticket offer or something free. I think you need a general call to action at the bottom of that homepage, at the bottom of your coaching or thought leader page. Talk about how to do that in other training. At the bottom of your About Us page that gives them a way to step in right there. Don't just make it on the bottom of blog posts. In fact, sometimes I've even run this. Hey, this is the big headline that's at the top of the homepage for a season, is a call to action, an ebook or a video or something we're giving away for free. The pro tip here is when somebody comes to your home base, don't send them to social media. Man, I talked to a guy recently And he's got this great new website. He's so proud of it. And the first thing I see is this great video. He articulates himself really well. He talks about what they do, who they serve, how they help them. He outlines the problem they solve, the potential they lead people to, the step-by-step process they walk people through along that path with progress points. And then he says, to connect with us at a deeper level, go to YouTube. No, don't go to YouTube. I would say engage with us. Fill out this form right here. You see? All right. Let's talk about the objective metrics to know that B is in place. And then I'll tell you where to go to take a deeper dive on all of these. Objective metrics. How do you know I have sufficiently not only architected my framework, which makes B easier, but now I have built my home base? Okay, here it is. You got to get all these 6 in place that I listed. It's clean, clear, and concise. It really states the problem and potential in a clear one-liner above the fold. That's at the top of the webpage. Capturing contact information. You have at least one opt-in with an automated delivery and email sequence in place, not just capturing information, but you have at least 3 to 5 follow-up emails already in place. Number 3, objective metric. You have the contact information for you, a clear way for people, ideally to connect with you via phone, text, and email. I would say all 3 is great. Number 4, content delivery. How do you know you've got it? You have at least 5 podcasts and or 5 blog posts already on that page to when somebody visits it, man, there's already some great information that they can learn more about you. What's that information from? Oh, it's from your framework. I mean, right there, 5, you could have 1 on each element of the framework. You could have 1 on, the potential you lead people to. You could have 1 episode or video. These could be short or long, whatever. You could have 1 that's on the problem most people face that keeps them from that. You could have 1 on the path you've created. You could have 1 even on each one of the progress points. You could have 1 on some of the pitfalls people face. You can have some that have testimonials and results from people that you've worked with. Okay, so you get the idea. Next, collect money. You have this objectively in place, not when you have a bank account for your organization, but when you have it tied, that bank account, to a payment processor on your site. So the money goes into your account, not they hit a button and it goes to somebody else's store. Whether it's another store where you're an affiliate, not whether it goes to another store like on Amazon or, not where and you can do affiliate stuff, and I suggest you do. We do. But your home base is built when you can collect money on your site and that money goes to you or your organization. And then finally, call to action. The visitor that comes to your site, that means if I didn't know anything about you, I came to your site and read the one-liner up at the top, and I scrolled through, I would know exactly what to do to engage your services. I would know I need to schedule a call. I would know I need to sign up for this thing or that thing. I would know that I need to buy this product. I would know I need to show up to this location. I would know exactly what to do at this point. I would know my absolute next best step. And if people don't know that, your home base is not done. Think about it like this. Somebody shows up to my house. If they want to get into my house, they know, oh, I need to ring the doorbell or knock on the door. Except for this one girl one time. She was, I guess it's like, is it a millennial or is it a Gen Z? What is she? One of the kids' friends came over to the front door and she didn't even know how to ring a doorbell. Like, that girl was sitting there on her phone. We can see through the camera, the security camera, that this gal was out there for what appears to be 5 to 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get in the house because nobody said to her growing up. I just walked out there, finally opened the door. I said, let me show you how we used to do this in my neighborhood. Shut the door, rang my own doorbell, knocked on the door. Either one of those work. Like, really, you don't text to get into a house. You knock on the door. You need something because people don't get it. Like, they are that confused when they come to your website. You need something at the door that literally says to get inside here, because you got people like that gal coming. Knock on the door or ring this doorbell. Now, how are they going to do that? They're going to leave you their name, their email address, their text, or whatever. They're going to have a specific call to action to know how to get inside and to engage in relationship at a deeper level. You don't want people standing outside your door looking at their cell phone, trying to figure out how do they get inside and engage your services. All right, true story. You want to go deeper? Here are some modules for you to review for B, build your home base. Number 1 of 7, 8 essentials for your website. Number 2, 3 opt-ins and 3 offers. That will tell you how to automate this follow-up process. Number 3, websites 101. Number 4, blogs 101. Number 5, podcasting 101. All 3 of those modules right there are available to you. You've got access to those, and they will give you step-by-step process to let you see the bigger picture, the what, the why, all the repurposing of the content, how to do it. Number 6, I would say, and number 7, those are, you might want to do one, you might want to do the other. What needs to be on your thought leader or coaching page, and what needs to be on your About Us page. Those are going to be the most trafficked pages on your site. You don't necessarily need both. You might need one, you might need the other, but this is right there how to build out your website. Now, by the way, all these have templates. You just fill in the blank, start writing on the pages, and it's going to give you the words to say how to move deeper. Now, let me tell you this, again, reminder, if you have already achieved A, architecting your framework, and you've written it down, all of this is so much easier. People ask all the time, how'd you get all this content for Amplify? First thing we did, I wrote a 600-page book. Now, you don't need a 600-page book. That's just what we did. You write it down, draft, you're good to go. Hey friends, you're just taking a break from the podcast to let you know about a free download we have for you. The link is down below in the show notes. It is the 11 mind shifts that really you need to make to shift in the new information and influencer economy. That's what you're involved in right now. I don't know about you, but when I was starting this, I really didn't know how to go about things. And maybe you've done what I've done. You think, you know what? Seems like I learned everything the hard way. So these are 11 lessons that we learned, goodness, over the course of about 7 or 8 years of honestly some victories, and then really transparently some mistakes that were made in the publishing industry. And so all of that has really shifted. And as we say many times, you don't need the permission of someone to publish your idea or to release your message to the world. What you really need is just a simple process, a step-by-step framework that works for you, that other people have used. The 11 mind shifts really is the startup of that. And so you're going to learn how to use different processes. You're going to learn how to share your message. You're going to learn, hey, where does the money actually come from? Whether you're motivated by the income or not, it honestly takes money to amplify your message. And so we'll talk about the place of a publisher, the place of do-it-yourself. All of that information is in a free PDF download. Just click the link in the show notes below at www.amplifyonline.info/11. I'll repeat it, amplifyonline.info/11, and you'll have instant access to the 11 mind shifts. That is amplifyonline.info/11.